Hey everyone, welcome to our very first episode here of Chamber Talks. I'm with Brenden Craft, who is the new chair for the Chamber for this year, for 2026. Brenden, thank you for being my first guest today.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Good.
This is going to be awesome.
Good. Well, I first off, just tell us a little bit about yourself and your story.
Okay, so Brenden Craft. I own an insurance agency with American Family Insurance and have owned that agency since 2020, so 6 years almost.
Oh.
Yeah, it's been a journey. My first month in business was the month that everything was shut down for COVID, March. So it's been an interesting journey, to say the least.
Well, I know that you've gone through a lot over those years. You've forged a really great and successful business. So tell us a little bit about what you do and how that works.
So first thing first, I mean, this is the Chamber podcast, right? So let's talk about how I've leveraged the Chamber and where my journey with the Chamber started.
Yeah.
So I started my business, like I said, in March of 2020, but I actually didn't join the Chamber until like November of 2020. So had, 6-ish months, 7 months or so of running my business without the Chamber. And Ryan Jose is the main person that talked me into joining, along with Stacy Butcher and some of the other employees that the Chamber had at the time. And they came into my office, talked to me about the Chamber and what it was. And I went to a lunch, and I was like, telling Ryan, I was like, man, this is different. This is a different crowd. And it is crazy to see the difference in that first lunch that I went to in November in 2020 and like how our lunch was yesterday.
Right.
It's a huge difference.
Yeah.
So joined the Chamber, did my ribbon cutting, and then I just went all in, and immediately started going to ribbon cuttings, joined the ambassadors, and then about a year-ish, maybe a year and a half after basically going to every single possible event I could, I joined the board.
Yeah.
And have been on the board since 2022-ish, I think is when I joined the board officially. And now I'm the chair.
You're the chair.
So
for folks who are tuning in, Brendan's actually the youngest chair that we've ever had in the history of the Chamber, and the Chamber's been around for 121 years now. So how old are you, Brenden?
I'm going to be 32 this year.
32.
Yeah.
Chair of one of the oldest organizations here in the region.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
At first I was just like, it's just something I do, I'm just excited to help lead, a great organization and partner with you. But then I got to thinking of it, and like my mom and like some of my friends and family are like, this is cool. Like everybody's thinking this is a massive big deal. Right. So,
Right.
Obviously it is a great deal. And I've had a really great opportunity of watching the past couple chairs, Rob, Stacy, and Dave, and learn from them. And I'm looking forward to just keeping the momentum going into this year. So
we've been talking a lot about what this year is going to look like for the Chamber. Given your kind of like involvement over the last several years, you've seen a significant change. We're kind of at the point now where we're looking to kind of move things forward in a pretty aggressive manner, I would say.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about kind of what your hopes and dreams are for this coming year.
So first of all, let's just talk about the Chamber in the standpoint of the Chamber is essentially, even though it's been around for 120 years, the Chamber is basically a business and startup phase, right? Like we've talked about this a lot over the last couple of years, and we've been in growth mode really since bringing you on. Mm-hmm. And we've set some pretty crazy goals over the last couple of years. But as a business and organization, every business aspires to get to certain benchmarks. And, our benchmark as a business essentially for this year is to break $1 million in revenue, be over that $1 million revenue mark. And I think this year we're gonna kill it.
I hope so. Yeah.
We have a lot of really, really great things, and we talked about a lot of them yesterday at our lunch. the USA 250 initiative, the National Civics Bee that's going to be here this year, and just a number of different really cool programs we've got rolling out this year. So I'm excited for everything we've got going.
Yeah, me too. It's going to take a lot of work. So with such great ambition and goals, we can't do it ourselves. We kind of need greater collaboration and involvement from our community as a whole. Tell us a little bit about how we're going to make that happen this year.
Just like you said, it's got to be a collaborative approach. It's going to take every board member being involved at a high level, every ambassador being involved in a high level, and every member being involved. We need members to show up to events. We need members to, communicate like we talked about yesterday with big milestones. We want to help celebrate members and their milestones. And so I think it's going to take a lot of involvement and from members specifically, and it's going to take a lot of proactiveness on our end to be proactive with a lot of the things that we've got coming down the pipe.
Yeah. I'm really excited for this year. Like I said, it's going to be a big one, especially with celebrating 250 years of this country. And it's like I said yesterday, it's a very worthwhile reason to celebrate. And I kind of joke, this is my kind of going joke, is that the chamber would come along and do a ribbon cutting for the opening of a packet of chips. But we'll celebrate any milestone that a business has.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. It's hard to run and operate a business. And a lot of folks who perhaps don't understand that, it's always good, or they're working silo by themselves. It's always good to come to these events to feel like, okay, I'm not the only one that's dealing with the joys and the pains of being entrepreneurial.
Yep.
And we have a great town for that, where everyone is here to collaborate, support one another, and also celebrate one another.
Yeah.
And so this year is a year of celebration, not just for the country, but for the small business that really is the foundation and the bedrock for the success of this country.
Yeah. Just to put something in perspective, you mentioned the 250th anniversary of the United States. The chamber has been around for almost half of that.
Yeah. That's actually a really good point.
So 120 years.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. For a small town like us to have a chamber for as long as it's been around is really cool. And like you said, we're kind of in startup mode again, but we're growing and we're thriving. So I appreciate you taking the time to tell us a little bit about that today. Yeah. Thank you. What are some of the things that you've seen over the last few years in your involvement with the chamber that you think have been noteworthy that has helped us get to this point that we're at right now?
I think the overall excitement around the chamber has changed significantly. Like in my times as an ambassador, I'll meet with people and tell people like, hey, you should join the chamber. And like one of the most common things that we would hear is like, well, what's the chamber, what's the chamber going to do for me? Like, what does the chamber do for me? Mm-hmm. And number one, I don't think I've heard that from anybody in at least a year and a half.
Yeah.
Most of the time I tell people, hey, you should join the chamber, come to a lunch. They come to one lunch and they're like, I'm all in. Let's go. It's like, it's been really cool to see the change in like us having to be salespeople versus just doing what we do and people being bought in.
Yeah.
So I'd say the energy for sure has been game changing. And the level of the events that we've been putting on are, especially over the last 12 months, have been leveled up substantially. The lunches before, which for better or worse, were basically a sales pitch for 45 minutes of the lunch. Yeah. And we still have businesses that will get up and present, and that's great. It's one of the tools of the chamber. But you've done something where you've brought in speakers to give powerful messages every single month. Mm-hmm. And there's not another networking event that I know of in Idaho Falls or anywhere near us that does that on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
So
especially for the price.
Yeah.
Like you're talking 25
bucks for a lunch.
Come to a lunch. And honestly, that basically for us just covers the overhead of the room and the meal. It's a very light lunch too. But honestly, everyone's there to consume the content and to network.
Yeah, it's not the food, it's the content.
Right.
And the content is all like I said, the last 12 months have been great.
Yeah. Yeah. I've really enjoyed really focusing in on that lunch with our team and also getting good feedback from people. We had, I think the record attendance was 189 last year. Our goal is to get to 200 this year. And there isn't anything like that in Eastern Idaho that I'm aware of. That
Not even close.
Regularly monthly networking event with good content to hopefully people come away with a good message too, that kind of stirs their spirit to continue their community service as much as anything, and collaborate with some of our great businesses here in the community. What's been your highlight of last year of all the sort of different events we did?
Well, I think the highlight lunch for me was probably the Eric Mattson lunch in November. Gratitude, and then just his message that he talked about. I think that was probably one of the highlights for me. And then I don't know if this one was last year or the ISU one.
Yeah, it was last
where
year.
we had the students come in and present their thesis. I thought that was pretty cool as well.
Yeah.
I had no idea that we had that level of just smarts going to ISU here in town, because they're in town school. So I think those two are probably my two favorites.
Yeah, that ISU event was awesome actually, and what that did was I immediately got all the other colleges and universities wanting to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And that whole, let me tell you how that all came about actually. So I actually had a meeting with President Wagner at ISU, and I kind of said to him, like, very straightforward, like, no one knows that ISU is in Idaho Falls and that there's a satellite campus.
Yeah.
And that to me is a crying shame. After being there and visiting the location and listening to some of the students and learning about what they're studying, that a lot of it is groundbreaking and innovation happening on our doorstep as a result of the university being there. We also have University of Idaho present here in town as well. And obviously we've got BYU just up the road. And then we've got the College of Eastern Idaho, CTech, all of our other, other schools as well in the area. There's a lot of education going on that is really transformative if you think about it.
Yeah.
So I said, let's have ISU just take over the lunch and let's like do a whole event that's just pure orange Bengal, celebrating what ISU brings to the table here in the region. And they just took over and it was awesome.
Yeah, it was a great lunch.
Yeah. And so we're going to see more of that this coming year with our colleges and universities. All want to do the same thing, but with their own little special twist. I'm excited for that.
That's cool.
That'll be really great. You also talked about Eric Mattson. Eric Mattson's a local entrepreneur, really successful in his own right.
Yes, he is.
But also a very special individual in the way he carries himself, and is a personal friend of mine, one of my best friends. Tell me a little about the message that you loved that he shared that day.
The message that he talked about was, the remembering where you came from, and because everybody is wanting to move forward and keep improving. And, you get to one benchmark and you want to immediately keep going towards the next benchmark, which is great. But being able to sit and realize, like, oh man, like I've came so far. Like I was just sitting there at that lunch, just thinking about when I started insurance in 2017, so we're almost a decade now into insurance, and I have learned and grown so much. But I'm also a very ambitious person. And so I set goals and I'm like, okay, I need to get here. I need to get here. I need to get here.
Yeah.
And, but it really just made me think, like, I need to really appreciate where I have been and where, what I've, experienced. And, it's that, and like, I have never done that.
Yeah.
I've always been, what's next? What's next? Like, what can I do next?
Yeah.
And his message really just had me pause and just be appreciative and grateful for where I've, what I've experienced and where I've been. So that message honestly was super powerful for me and my team. I had my staff at that lunch, and we all were talking about that at our next staff meeting. And So it was a powerful message for all of us.
Yeah, I thoroughly loved it. It talks about the gap and the gain.
Yeah.
We can all be busy focusing on the gaps, in our business. But it's really important to recognize the journey and what you've gained over that time.
Yep.
And sometimes it may not be financial. Sometimes it's just those life lessons, those things that kind of stand you in good stead, that gives you the foundation to keep continuing.
Yep.
It's really important to do that. I guess like one of the things that I've also noticed, just being here in the Idaho Falls area for the last 4 years, is that it is really easy to kind of focus on what we're missing, what we don't have. But here in the greater Idaho Falls area, we've got a lot of great things that we should be grateful for.
Yes, we do.
I
want to highlight one other event that I really loved last year, the awards gala.
Oh,
yeah. It was a pretty emotional night. There was a lot of people that we have seen just struggle and grind out the year last year. And, they came out and at the end of the year, successful. Some people won some awards. Some people got some nominations.
Yeah.
And the way that event specifically, the lunches have changed substantially.
Yeah.
That event was like a total 180 from where it was 2-3 years prior. The amount of the attendance to that event, I remember that same event 3 years ago, I think we maybe had 50 people total, including the nominees.
Yeah.
And I think we filled the deck to capacity,
it was at capacity
this year.
Yeah. You couldn't move in between the seats and the chairs and stuff. Yeah.
That was probably our best after hours event.
Yeah, that's true. That was awesome. For me also, just to kind of get everyone in a room to celebrate everybody that was nominated. Not everybody came away with an award, but the nominees in the room was such a diverse mix of different business types and industries, and kind of gives you a really good idea of what the tapestry of business looks like in the area.
Yep.
That was a lot of fun. We also had Jeff Roper MC it. That brought a little extra comedy factor to it.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Just good. But we had such a broad spectrum of young businesses to very established business like Reed's Dairy, there in the room too. It was wonderful to see.
Yeah, Brolum's was there.
Yeah.
Oswald's.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were some very long lasting businesses that were nominated and some won. So
yeah, I know. I'm excited for this coming year as well to celebrate that. The other thing that we're excited for this year is our Emerging Leaders program. You got to sit down and have lunch with a couple of the emerging leaders. Tell us a little bit about that.
So went to lunch in December with Haley and Sky. And gosh, I've been listening to you talk about the Emerging Leaders program and the growth that you've seen in these kids. And I didn't get to meet these kids before they were a part of the program,
right?
But you can just see the maturity and the smarts and everything that they are emulating from what they've learned. And my biggest takeaway is just gave me hope and just put a smile on my face. We're out of all of the things that the chamber does, I think they're all really powerful. But that one is special. Taking and mentoring these young kids into people that will hopefully be leaders in our community in the future, I think goes overlooked. I don't think people realize how important that is.
It's crucial. And I shared this stat yesterday, actually, at our lunch. It's about 70% of businesses are reporting a leadership deficit across the country. And what that means, or how that translates is that we're finding it difficult to find good leaders. And you can see that, a reflection of that in our political framework across the country. Some could argue we've got good leaders, some could argue we don't have so very good leaders at all. But also the same with our businesses and corporations. And so it's a real struggle to find good leaders. And so this program for high school students from sophomore to senior year high schoolers, this is designed to try and address that issue for this region and keep these young people here.
Yeah, and both of those girls that we were eating lunch with, they have some pretty good aspirations. I think Haley wants to be a lawyer, and then Sky wants to be in the medical field. Yes. So both really important things for our area.
Yeah.
So yeah, that emerging leaders program is I think it's got to be one of our number one focuses going into this year.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for this year. 2026 is going to be a big year for the chamber. Excited for you to be our chair.
Yeah, I'm excited as well.
And see what we can do together and kind of help bring the chamber forward. And so, Brenden, thank you so very much for being our first official guest on our podcast, Chamber Talk. And so, for anyone else that wants to learn more about the chamber, visit our website, idahofallschamber.com. Watch this on our YouTube channel, and we look forward to seeing you at the next one. Thanks, Brenden.
Thank you.